welcome back, and thank you for crossing the world. With us tonight, Ken Uptegrove. Ken is a man moved on by the Lord and following His direction, feeling that financial collapse is imminent and that we need to come into Christian community to make our way through that. Now, Ken, you are working on establishing a Christian community in Northwest Arkansas, and explain a little bit or describe how you see this community functioning.
All righty. If I could, for just a bit on what you said there before the break. As a web designer and webmaster, I've made websites for people I've never met and never will meet, all over the world for that matter. So I sure don't have to be in your neighborhood to do it. One of the things that I'm doing is, first off, I have my forum, and I'm teaching the people on the forum that we need to find people that we really are compatible with doctrinally. Even on the forum, we have several different mindsets, and some of them, quite frankly, in my opinion, are completely into false doctrine. But I'm teaching them even as you need to go into community who are like-minded with you. Otherwise, you'll find lack of harmony, and not until things are extremely dire and desperate will you be forced to get along. But until then, it will be important for you to be very much like-minded. And so I've got two forums in the new one that I've got, trying my best to attract only people who really are like-minded with me, as selfish as that may seem, in order for me to be looking for the right people to invite when the time comes, when the Lord has timing is correct and we have the place. I've tried to stay very open-minded, think outside the box type open-minded, so that when the Lord shows me something, I won't miss it. And so I started doing a search on the net for lodges, retreats, farms, that sort of thing, to find the places that may be really already largely set up for what we need. So all we need to do is move in and start putting things together. There's a lot of land out there that doesn't have any buildings on it or wells or any such thing that are also really ideal. And if there's enough money and enough time, and that seems to be the way the Lord leads, then we'd be glad to go that way. But I have been building a file, if you will, a bookmark or a favorites file, depending on which internet service you use, Firefox or Explorer. I've been building a file of such places. One of the things that works for us is the horrible fact that the price of property is going down, and it's getting harder and harder to sell places. And so some of these people need to sell their land or their property in order to make it. It's become a desperation thing for some of them. Others, they're quite comfortable, but they aren't moving their land. So it seems like that opens some lines of thought, like, for instance, leasing or rather than buying. If it's a long-term lease, let's say for longer than you think it will take before the second coming and all that happens, trying to play that. I have had umpteen conversations with umpteen people on this subject, and I don't suppose there's time here to treat all those, but surely I've covered somebody has covered every scenario. We've discussed it at length, all the what ifs that are possible out there. But there's another approach that I'm considering taking, and that is one of the problems I'm having is there's nothing that succeeds like success. If I were on land, then I can start bringing people in, at least to look at what we're trying to do. And the approach I'm thinking about may seem outlandish to you, but I'm considering this, and that is, believe it or not, house setting or land setting.
Mm-hmm.
If the land has been sitting there for some time with nobody on it, especially if it's got buildings, it needs somebody there to mow the grass, paint the buildings, keep people from rummaging around and stealing and damaging and so on. Just needs somebody there to look after the place. So even though you take the risk of somebody coming along and buying it, and there you are gone again, moving again. On the other hand, it could be that that is how the Lord is giving it to you, or providing it for you. If we have on the land, and we are gardening and have some animals on it, well, then we have something to show people, something to bring people to. We can start having seminars. I've had a couple of seminars in the past. Christians really like to come to this kind of seminar for no other reason than to meet somebody else who sees what we see.
Mm-hmm.
And they have great fellowship. And then after that, they're looking for the community that they can move into. And even though in a house-sitting type situation, you couldn't bring anybody in, at least then you, in effect, become the real estate agent, in that you say, maybe we could buy this together if we have enough of us, with enough funds between us. And so is this making sense? Do you see where I'm going with this?
Oh, absolutely, because, I mean, this is something that my wife and I have discussed as well, as far as how do we get a piece of property and prepare it so that it can be a haven when it all comes crashing down, a refuge for people to be able to come, to be able to work the land, to be able to survive. Yeah, this is something that Denise and I and others have discussed at great length as far as how do we do this. And I don't know that it is one person that's supposed to go out and buy a huge piece of property. It does seem more like God's way if a group of people got together and bought. Of course, what you've got to be careful of, like you said, is that they are like-minded as far as their biblical perspective. But it could be done. If it was the leading of the Lord, there's no question it could be done.
It's a good way to really get yourself in trouble if you haven't really thought this out, and probably have the assistance of a lawyer to write up a contract to protect not only you, but the people who come. Like, for one reason or another, some people may have to at some point back out. And if they do, well, then they need a way to back out without hurting them or you.
Mm-hmm.
And by the grace and mercy of God, there will be somebody else right there to pick up where they left off and be able to continue the thing. But I've also given a lot of prayer and thought to another scenario, and that is that there is somebody out there that is already very much like-minded and very much has everything already in place. They just need somebody to come in and help them do it. Mm-hmm. Maybe they are elderly or whatever, but it's a thing of, once again, God's timing and grace of putting the right people together. And in which case, there's one place that I'm looking at. Heaven's sakes, it's already got the house and all kinds of barns. It's got 2 great springs on it. It's got great corrals on it. And it's also got a workshop and a tractor and all kinds of other equipment on it. place is incredibly set up already. Another one already has a greenhouse on it and has been natural and organic from day one. So there are places out there, and we just need to call upon the Lord to show us how to find the one that He's putting us with. I will contacting some of these people on my great list here and talking to them about these things. I'm trying to work up the nerve to do it. I know on the one hand, God is going to put something together, but it's kind of like the salesman. The salesman has to never be able to hear the word no and never be discouraged by the 100 who said no and be totally encouraged by the one that does say yes. I'm a lousy salesman, so I'm having a hard time. If you folks would please pray for me out there that I will work up the nerve to jump into this and see what the Lord may do. And also I may encourage you to do likewise. Do a Google search on the area where you live and see what's out there. And make your list and pray over it. See what the Lord may bring. This may be a great encouragement to a lot of your listeners.
Ken, before you joined us tonight, we spent a little bit of time talking about the New Madrid fault line, and there have been an unbelievable number of micro earthquakes in that area in the last 6 months, over 700. There's been over 60 now since January. I know the last time we got together we talked a little bit about this. As far as natural disasters, David Wilkerson prophesied that he saw the major cities burning. I think they may be set on fire by ourselves and riots as opposed to bombs. But that being said, it's interesting to me. I found 5 articles in different newspapers today about the New Madrid fault and the FEMA preparedness for it, what have you. Do you think that we are headed into a time where we are going to see great tumult in the world as far as earthquakes and such?
Well, first off, the prophecy says we will, and it says there will be a great increase in the intensity and the frequency of all of these things. Like, for instance, earthquakes. I was just hearing a report just this last week where it said that it used to be you hardly ever heard about earthquakes and the magnitude of 6 or 7 on the Richter scale, but now, I want to say every 15 days, there is one somewhere in the world that it's between 6 and 7 or more on the Richter scale. And that's a huge increase. It used to be you didn't have that many in 15 years. Now it's every 15 days, and the number of volcanoes has greatly increased. There's several going on right now. The number of wars that are in the world are greatly increased, and we see in the Middle East that the Muslim Brotherhood is deliberately bringing riots to all of these Muslim countries for the single purpose of uniting them so that they can all go to war against Israel. But the news media sees this as a great move towards democracy, not understanding that our own nation is not a democracy. It is a constitutional republic based on democratic principles. But democracy in a Muslim country will mean Sharia law. It will mean war against Israel. That's because the people will vote for that. And so I can't believe the ignorance and naivety of so many people who are rejoicing over these countries coming into democracy, because they are leading us towards more wars, and specifically war against Israel, which will specifically bring real destruction to Israel, and when this many nations come against, which is in prophecy. Prophecy said that this will happen to Israel. initially in several stages of war against that nation. So there's all these other things, but we are seeing, extreme cold and that weather patterns are being changing. The poles are the magnetic pull of the poles is weakening and changing and moving, and the axis has changed a little bit to the point where some airports are having to change their landing strips a little bit in order to adjust to those changes. So this isn't just speculation or wild talks. When airports start changing their airport landing strips in order to accommodate the change in the north due north, that's real. That's real. And all of the newspaper reports of all of the earthquakes and volcanoes, and that's in the news. That's real, and it's not gloom and doom talk. It is just simply the news.
Well, the way I put it is, you look at the book of Revelation, or you look in Ezekiel, and you're basically reading today's headlines. You look at Psalm 83, and I think you see what's about to happen in the Middle East here awfully quickly. So, Ken, it is always a joy to be able to spend time with you, and certainly we pray that the Lord will continue to give you vision and energy. We pray that the Lord will give you favor and bring exactly the right people into your life that need to be there to help you to fulfill the dream and the ministry that the Lord has for you. So I pray just wonderful blessings on you, and I look forward to talking to you again. As a matter of fact, I will probably call you off the air, if not tomorrow, on Monday, because there's a couple of things I want to talk to you about, okay?
By all means, but please tell the people where they can download this program so that they can burn a disc or just simply have it available, because this is potentially a very valuable, and also I sure want to put it on my website. I most certainly will put it on my website.
We're going to put it up on YouTube, and if all goes well, by Sunday afternoon you'll have the links so that you'll be able to link to it, okay?
All righty.
Excellent.
Very good.
All right, bless you, my friend, and thanks for doing this tonight.
Yep.
Goodbye now. Good night. All right, that was Ken Uptegrove, and Ken is just, he's an awesome guy. I don't know what else I can tell you. He's just a wonderful man, and he's got a very gracious heart, and he is very much led of the Lord as far as his desire to build a Christian community in northwestern Arkansas, believing that's what the Lord has him to do, and I have no doubt that's exactly what the Lord is leading him to do. And as he mentioned, there are so many people that are feeling called of the Lord in one direction or another, being called to community in one way or another, and so many people that have this sense that there are things coming and tribulation coming, not the tribulation, but trial and tribulation, and certainly the impending financial collapse of our country. I don't think it's going to happen until the time of the inauguration of our next president, who is, I believe, our current president. I think Obama wins in 2012, and I think somewhere near the end of 12, beginning of 13, is when we're really going to see things come crashing down. It could happen sooner than that, but man. Well, lots still to do tonight, so thank you very much for being with us, and don't leave. It's 9 o'clock, so thank you for being with us. Thank you for crossing the world with us, and if I can find my